la reunión, Rush. And then just a reminder, we're going to do our intro a little bit different this time. So we're going to talk about translation first. Vamos a hacer la introducción un poquito diferente esta vez. Así que primero voy a hablar de la traducción. For don't remember to speak slowly for Marta. No se olviden de hablar despacio para nuestra querida Marta. And if we do this, si hagamos esto, it means slow down. Significa que hable más despacio. Okay. So are we starting translation now for the whiteboard activity? Okay. Ya, creo que ya vamos a empezar con la traducción. Así que si quiere escuchar en español, elige el globito, el mundito que está abajo para elegir la canal de español.
¿Me escuchan?
Spanish speakers, if you want to hear.
Mercedes, Liduvina.
Select the little globe at the bottom.
¿Sí me escuchan, Inocencia?
And wave your hand if you can hear Marta. Danos la mano, salúdanos si puedes escuchar Marta. O diga algo.
Por favor.
It's working. I could hear her.
Okay. ¿Ya estamos? Okay. No?
Su mano, por favor. Ah, Lulu, sí. Mercedes, ¿me escuchas? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So we're going to start. I think everyone here can see your screen. So for this activity, it'll be helpful to see your screen, but if you can't, it's not the end of the world. But Rush is gonna bring up the whiteboard, which we can use in Zoom, which is pretty cool because it's as if when we have those big papers on the wall in the trailer when we're together, we can brainstorm and write stuff on it together. This is the closest we're gonna get right now. So we're gonna start with an activity for tonight. So what do you remember about the Habitat program? So this might have come from our redevelopment meetings. It might have been from your financial coaching, things that we've talked about. But without saying any more, if y'all can just start to throw out ideas, you can just speak when you're ready about what you remember about the Habitat program. And we will start calling on people if nobody speaks. Richard, you're unmuted. Do you want to say something?
I can mute it again. Now, I don't know exactly what you're looking for, but you see healthy, affordable housing, low to no interest payments,
Okay.
at least $1,250 down payment,
All right.
with somewhat of a matching from Habitat, depending on things. I mean, still not sure about that. Still not sure what the cap is on that, or if there is a cap.
That's great. That's a solid start.
All right, who's next?
Right. Mercedes. Te veo. What do you remember about the Habitat program? There we go.
Pues también que, pues, una oportunidad que da si en dados casos ya no puede uno seguir con el pago de tu casa y quieres venderla, se la puedes vender a Habitat y pues ellos vuelven a dar esa casa a gente que requiera una. Y pues eso pues está bien porque pues a veces uno quiere comprometerse con tener una vivienda y pues no sabe uno en el futuro si va uno a poder seguir dando el pago de esa casa. Entonces, si ellos también nos dan esa oportunidad de poderla vender y recuperar un poco del dinero que se invirtió, pues es algo que recuerdo también del programa.
Awesome. Thank you, Mercedes.
Jordan, I was trying to type while she was talking. The second point about,
Sí.
I think she was talking about getting the value sharing or the appreciation sharing. Is that right? But will you tell me what her last point was?
Maybe Marta can say it better. Do you mind saying it, Marta?
We can't hear Marta. We won't be able to hear Marta unless
We
you're on the
won't?
translation channel. Yeah.
She just spoke to us. Okay. I can't remember. I was distracted.
Okay.
Marta, do you want to say it and I'll listen? I'm on the channel. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, in English. Now I can't hear you. I heard you and now I can't. Yes. Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. So Rush, she's saying that Habitat you're right. It's about sharing the value so that the family will not lose the investment of what they have put into it.
Thank you,
I
Marta.
thought that's
and
what
Shel.
she had been talking about, but I was typing the other point, and so
Right, got it.
I was worried that I had missed it. So thank you.
Sure, no, you got it.
Anybody else? Wanda, Maria, Lulu, Irulina, Reina, Rose, Inocencia, Alejandra. How about one more person? One more brave person. We've almost filled the screen.
Martita, también este programa de Habita es para hacer reuniones y poner diseños a nuestras casas, nombre de las calles, donde, bueno, nos podemos conocer toda la gente que vive aquí y no nos conocíamos y ahora ya nos conocemos. También trabajar con los arquitectos y conocer a los que trabajan en Hábitat y que nos brindan su servicio.
All right. So let me look at our time. Okay, so I think that that's good for now. It's a really solid start, unless someone else was about to say something. I don't want to cut you off. Okay, so these are good details about the Habitat program, what the goals of Habitat are, about what payments are like, both the down payments and your mortgage, your home mortgage, what you can do after you buy your Habitat home, and what your involvement is like in the Habitat program. So that all relates to what we're going to review tonight. So the main topics that we'll cover are the timeline of what being in the Habitat program is like, what all the parts look like. Also what the application itself looks like, because remember, all that we've been doing up until now is not the application for the Habitat program, it's preparing you to apply and to know everything about the program and be ready to apply. It's also about sweat equity. So, and then what your down payment is like, what our program is like, and what lot selection looks like. So lot selection is choosing which portion of land your home will be on. I'm sure you have a lot of questions right now. You're welcome to put them in the chat if you're able to. Otherwise, you can speak up, but just know that we're not going to answer the questions in the moment. We're going to collect them and then have a portion of tonight's meeting at the end to review your questions and also answer them as best we can. So again, you can type it in the chat box or just quickly say it and then we'll note it, but keep moving through the agenda. All right. So I believe next is Molly. And she's going to review the timeline first.
Thank you. So I'm actually going to share with you the presentation. And let's see. All right. I can do it here. Okay. So what, oh, I have to share it actually as a presentation. All right. So I'm going to go over a little bit about the timeline. And what I mean by that is what you can expect to see or the kinds of things that are going to be happening for you over the course of the next year. And so, as you know, I'll start by reviewing a little bit of what we've already talked about, which is around the physical construction. So we mentioned, I think last week, that the site plan that you all worked on with the architect is in its final review, and we're hoping to get that approved very soon. And so once the county approves the site plan, we will have a groundbreaking event. And so we're going to be asking you all to help us plan that, and that will just be a celebration of finally getting to start construction after all the planning work you've done.
Molly, do you mind making it so it's presenting so we can?
Yeah, it's not presenting. No, we're looking at the introduction slide.
Weird. One sec. Let me stop and try again.
I can also put it up if you want, Molly.
Now is it presenting?
Yes, bravo.
Okay. So we'll ask for your help planning this, especially since we might have to do a remote version because of the virus. But this is something that is very exciting and we hope you will be involved in. And it will kick off construction. Oh, but now it won't let me advance. Ah, here we go. So then, once the groundbreaking happens, that's when site work will begin. We've talked a little bit about the preparation of the site happening, and then that will be, we estimate about a year, and then about a year for the vertical construction of the homes after that. So that means if everything goes according to plan, which it still is on track, the first homes in Village 1 will be ready to move into in the spring, summer area of 2022, depending on what housing type you have. During that time, as construction moves forward, you all are going to be focusing on the Habitat application. And what that means, you've been working already with your individual financial coach, but that's going to kind of pick up now. And so we're going to be meeting here as a group a couple more times, and then we'll sort of have the focus for us will move away from these group meetings together, and it will move more to you working individually with your financial coach to really get your application prepared. And so as you all move into the application process, we will also be starting to reach out to the Southwood residents who will live in the remaining 49, you'll remember there's 49 units in this first village, and you all will not fill all of them. It's not a big enough group. So in the next few months, as you start to work on your applications, we will be reaching out to the rest of the residents who are going to live in the rest of these 49 homes, as well as the people who will be designing and living in Village 2. So this is a great time if you have a friend or a family member you would really like to live near you, either in those remaining lots in Village 1 or in Village 2. Now would be a great time for you to let them know that they should reach out to us, start participating in this process, so that they can start doing this journey that you all have already been doing for a while. So once, and that will, in August, we'll have another round of community meetings for the whole neighborhood to share some of these updates about the construction timeline, and how to get involved for those folks who are interested next. And we will be asking you all to help us plan what the important information it would be to share at those meetings, just like you all did last time.
Okay, Molly, what's the I don't see a chart. So I know the green and light green teal is condos.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
the blue are what?
So the green is condos, like you said. The orange is, or the reddish, I guess, orange is townhouses. The yellowish orange are the duplex. The blue are single family detached. And the purple are optional additions. So, and all, like we talked about with construction, not all of them will be finished at the same time. And so that's why sometimes you'll hear us tonight talking about, well, it depends on what housing type you're in. And that's mostly about the different dates that these different types of units will be finished.
So does that mean that the ones that are not, are the ones on the board now in color, are those the first ones to be built? Or are those already, there's a not spoken for, and everything that's in the other little blocks that are blank are spoken for?
No, so everything, this is all, what the in color is all 49 affordable units in Village 1.
Okay,
so you all will be moving into some of those, but
Right.
not all of them.
So you don't know the current value of what's available condo-wise, what's available non-condo, what's available townhouses, how many of each are available outside?
I don't have it in this slide, Rose, but we can share
Okay.
that with you. That is,
Okay.
I pulled this out of the construction timeline presentation, and that is in that presentation, so I can share that with you. I just don't have it on hand at this exact moment.
Okay.
But total, it's 49 units. Well, I'll make a note to get that to you. So as you all move through the application process, what that means is you will be working with your coach to prepare everything that you need for the application. And actually, I'm going to turn it over to Joe in just a second. But the last thing I'll say is that we'll start the accepting applications around the beginning of next year. We're trying to match it up with the main office. And so we'll give you a more detailed date as soon as it's figured out with them. But I'm going to hand it off to Joe to explain a little bit more about what that application process is going to be like. So Joe, take it away.
Great. Thanks, Molly. So we know this is a lot of information, and so I just want to remind people again that this chat feature is right here. So if you have a question and you're worried you're going to forget it, please go ahead and type it in to the chat box so that we don't lose track of it. We can come back at the end of the presentation. So you guys remembered a ton of information about the Habitat program. That was pretty cool. So now I'd like to shift the focus to the actual application process where you are applying to the program. And so as you guys know, this is a loan to purchase a house. And so we've talked in your financial coaching meetings about some of the documents, some of the paperwork that you will need to submit as part of your application. So I'd like to do the same thing Jordan did and ask folks to share. You can either speak or type in the chat box. What are some of the documents that you will need to include when you apply to the Habitat program? Let's start with understanding what you guys already remember and know. So either if you wanna, let's see, Molly, I can't see everybody if someone raises their hand. I don't know if you just want to unmute and share or type in the chat box. What are some of the documents that you will need to include when you apply to the Habitat program?
Joe, I can't stop sharing my screen to look.
Okay. So I'm just going to count on people to shout out. So I'll go ahead and go first. And I'll say the application.
Teresa, you're unmuted. Would you like to share something?
Hey, Teresa, can you?
I think it's actually not that she's unmuted, but that the audio is not connected. Like, right.
Okay.
Hola, yo recuerdo que es hacer los impuestos, estar haciendo correctamente los impuestos es lo que se va a necesitar y pues depende de lo que queramos adquirir, es ganar cierta cantidad de dinero para según lo que podamos aplicar y que pues ustedes nos digan que, por ejemplo, que calificamos para la aplicación. Y pues una cosa te digo es tener en orden los impuestos.
Great, thank you, Mercedes. I'm thinking I understood some of what you said. I think you said impuestos. Is that tax returns?
Yes,
Yeah,
so she was saying that it's important that they have their taxes in order and that they're doing their taxes. And depending on the money that they're claiming and what the housing choice they want depends on whether or not they can afford it. So it's important to have all of those documents in order to apply for a specific housing type.
And English speakers can pick the English channel.
English on?
Marta is translating in the English channel when people speak.
Thanks, Jordan. That's a great answer, Mercedes. Absolutely correct. What other documents? Wanda put credit, which is absolutely right. So a credit report is something, a document that needs to be submitted. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. What other documents? So if you think about applying for a loan, which is what this is, what are some of the loan documents? And you may have actually turned some of these in already with your financial coach. What are some of those documents? Everyone is in a listening mode. Okay. So all of these are right. I will go ahead and review some of the other documents. And this one surprises me. Molly, can you go back? I'm not ready. So some of the other documents you would expect, and this is the one I thought for sure I would hear you guys shout out right away, because so many have turned in your pay stubs. So proof of income, so pay stubs, or if you work for yourself, you have to keep track of how much income you make in your business and what you spend your money on. So that's a profit and loss statement. There's also the need for bank statements. That's a required document that you have to submit. So it's usually a couple of months of bank statements. And the reason for that would be to show that you have some savings, some cash reserves, and to see how your money tracks in and out. Mercedes already said tax returns. And then the other one that might be a little surprising to folks is copies of your most recent utility bills. So that one's a little surprising, and the reason those are asked for is to get a sense of what the other household expenses are. And also utility bills.
Utilidades o los servicios que se hayan pagado en tiempo. Eso puede ser una referencia de crédito si no tienen crédito, historial de crédito. También se necesita una carta de la persona que les renta. Ese sería otro documento. Esos son los documentos que se van a requerir.
A little bit about the application. Can you stop sharing your screen so I can show people the application? All right, you guys are so quiet. I'm just going to keep poking at you and asking questions. Does anyone have a guess of how many pages the Habitat application is? Any guesses?
6.
We have a 6. Any other guesses?
10.
10? This is like Price is Right. Lulu, what's your guess?
I didn't get to hear what you said.
15 hojas.
How many pages do you think the Habitat application is?
Lulu guessed 15.
15. Lulu is guessing 15. Wanted to?
Well, I hope it's less than 10, but it could be up to 20 because the application is kind of long.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's actually 19 pages to the application. I'll stop at 11. Don't be afraid, because you have a financial coach. Your financial coach is going to be working with you over the next few months to make sure that all of the information that goes on the application is not a surprise. We're going to get you to fill this application out. And I will say that a lot of these are just forms. Okay, so it's not all your information. And so in fact, if I were to look at that, it's probably closer to 7 pages of what you need to fill out. So the application is something that you submit, and like Molly said, it will be in early next year. In the next few months, your financial coach will be working with you over that. Wanda mentioned credit reports. So I want to take one moment and say that's something else that we're going to start talking about as financial coaches. So again, our goal is that you aren't surprised at the beginning of next year when it's time to apply. So your financial coach will be reaching out and going over your credit report. And one thing I want people to understand is credit is different for the Habitat program than other programs. So don't let the credit part sound scary. We have very, very flexible credit requirements. And in fact, if you have no credit, that's okay with the Habitat program. So that's a big difference between that and other programs. So we've talked a lot about the application, the documents. The next question is, what happens with your application? So I kind of want to, can we skip to the poll? Molly, I don't know who's running the poll. Rush. So the next question is, who is going to approve your applications? So you don't have to speak up at this point, but we are going to have a poll. And so the question is, who will approve your Habitat application? The first option is Joe and Marta. The second option is Rush. The third option is the Habitat staff at the main office. And the last option is the board of directors for Habitat. So if you will choose the answer.
Ya, Martita.
And I'm not sure, it says we've got, not sure how many votes we need to have come in.
We've got about half of the votes in, so they're about.
Yo ya voté, no sé si ya les llegó mi voto.
We're up to 7
Okay,
votes.
gracias.
Okay.
I'll give it another few seconds and then we'll go ahead and show
Sounds
you guys
good.
what we decided.
Sounds good.
Can you say again one more time, please?
Oh, sure, Wanda, I'm sorry, I forgot you couldn't see the screen. So who approves the application to get into the Habitat program? Is it Joe and Marta? We're one option, we're a team. Is it Rush, all by her lonesome? Is it the Habitat staff at the main office, or is it the board of directors of Habitat? Who gives the approval of an application into the Habitat program? And Rush, do you want me to go ahead and end polling?
I will, either one of us, but yeah, we can go ahead.
You can
and
go
do
for it. Okay. So surprising no one, you guys got this right. It is the board of directors for Habitat for Humanity. So this is a large group of volunteers who review the final application and make the decision of who is approved into the program. So Joe, Marta, Rush, we have no power. But how does the board of directors get this information? So let's talk a little bit about the process.
I think I got it right.
You did. Did everyone see the results?
No, I think I just sent it to you.
Oh, okay. Yes, 86% of the people got it. The correct answer, board of directors, Habitat. So let's talk about how the application finds its way to the board of directors. First, there will be the opportunity, the invitation to apply to the Habitat program. So we know that you guys have raised your hand from the beginning and invested a lot of time in the planning process, and you've made it very clear that you intend to apply to the program. That's great. That's awesome. Because this is actually a loan program, there are laws related to fair housing where we can't just hand you guys this application. So we will advertise the application period, and it will be open for people to apply. But the important thing for you guys to understand is the way applications are processed, there's actually priority given to anyone of you who have participated in the planning process. You guys have invested a lot of time and a lot of energy. And so the way the application process has been set up is we absolutely are going to follow the law and advertise it to anyone who is interested. But as the process of looking at applications, we will see, or the Habitat staff will see, the hours and the time you've invested, and that gives you a priority when you submit your application. So we want to prepare you guys when you see it advertised. We don't want you to be concerned what's going on. That's part of the process. So it will be advertised. There is actually a fee for applying to the Habitat program. That application fee is $15, and that's per adult. And that fee is to help cover the cost of pulling a credit report. So we've already talked about that, and that's why that fee is required. So one more, now I would like to show the slide, Molly. We talked about the board of directors, that they are the ones who approve, but there's a whole team at the main office, and their goal, their job is to receive applications, go through them, and get the information organized so that they can share it with the board of directors. So as you guys make application in early of next year, you will actually start to work with the rest of the staff. So you have Angel, Larry, Michaela, Shanice, Jeanette, and Kim. These are all people on the Habitat staff at the main office. And this is the team that you will be working with throughout the application process. So we wanted to take a minute and introduce you to who those folks are. So at this point, again, if you have questions about anything we've said, I'd encourage you to type them into the chat box, because we're going to take a break, and I don't want folks to forget if there's something that comes to mind. But if there are no questions, we can go ahead and take a break. Any questions? Again, I can't see many faces. Sorry, guys, because of the shared screen. Molly, when should we come back from our break?
Let's take 5 minutes. So we'll come back at 6:50, shortly after 6:50.
Sounds good. Great. See you at 6:50.
Get a little stretch. Get some water.
Marta, are you okay?
Joe, I accidentally didn't turn the page when I was doing my part. And so I left off the last couple of points in my section because they went on to the next page. Could you just stick them on to your home buyers classes section?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a nice way to wrap it up, actually.
Yeah. I just got to the end of the page and called it quits.
Mm-hmm.
Hola, Alfredo. Estamos en un descanso ahorita, pero vamos a reempezar en 5 minutos. Oh, hi, Wanda. Oh, dang, hi. You're muted, girl.
You like my view? You saw
I
my
like
view?
it. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. Where are you?
Where are you? I see palm trees. You're at the beach? Are you in Puerto Rico? Yay! So jealous. What are you doing here?
I'm sitting in my study.
No wonder you couldn't get the pizza. Hi. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous.
I'm with my mama.
Hi, Mama.
I'm with my mama.
Hi, Mama Wanda. I'm so jealous.
I forgot to send Joe like a text early in the morning because I was kind of busy.
Oh, just a whittle. Doing what?
Nah, paperwork with my mom stuff, you know.
Oh, okay. How long are you there for?
I'll leave on the 22nd.
Oh, good. You're there for a little bit. Not long.
Yeah, but everything is shutting down again.
Yeah. But at least you got the beach.
I got a little bit, but everything is shutting down again, so.
I'm sorry, but it's just to see family.
Yeah. And I'm enjoying I'm enjoying every typical plate that I could eat out here.
Wanda, I thought you
I'm
were
so
supposed
stuffed.
to let me know the next time you were going to Puerto Rico. That was
You left to California.
I've been back.
You told me Habitat doesn't pay you now, so I can't be telling you like, let's go.
That was a joke, Wanda. I'm gonna get in trouble. You keep repeating it.
I'm just kidding.
No.
But I'm melting. It's so hot.
You gotta go there. I know. Well, it's hot here too, so you're not escaping it.
It is.
Yeah, it's hot and humid.
No,
here too.
but over there you just stay inside. Over here, you know, all the houses is cement. So like you melt away.
That's called a detox right there.
This is like a how you say it? Sauna. How you say it in
Sauna.
English?
Sauna.
Sauna. You know, like in a room that it's
casi
so
la
hot.
misma. Sauna. Es la misma.
Yeah. I'm like this.
Well, you look good. You look tan. You look like you're enjoying yourself. You look happy.
I'm really tan. I'm really tan.
Yeah. You look happy.
Where's your twinsy?
She's on the break right now.
Oh. She's so quiet.
That's probably the first time anybody's ever told her that she's being quiet. I'm kidding.
Manda, ¿puedo tomar café?
Sí, claro.
¿O ya terminó el descanso?
Pues sí, pero si quiere agarrar rapidito, puede.
No, solo café porque ya pizza no encontré.
¿No? ¿Por qué no?
Ya se la comieron los niños.
Ah, okay. Phew.
¿Es Wanda en Puerto Rico?
Sí.
That's
Se ve la
unfair.
próxima.
Yeah. Bueno.
All right, let's come back together. Vamos a reunirnos otra vez. Hi, Teresa. Can you hear us this time? No, still no. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll get it figured out. Maybe we'll lend you a computer for next week if that would help. All right, let's.
Molly, does someone want to call Teresa and like put her on speaker? Oh, I guess she's on her phone. I was
She's
just trying to
on
figure
her
out a way
You can hear us though, right?
Yeah, because Teresa, you can hear us? because she said, she responded when you said something, Molly.
Okay. She
Can
did
you nod if you can hear us, Teresa?
Teresa, can you hear us? I'll text her.
I'm not sure she can because she texted me saying she couldn't hear.
Okay, maybe it's just coincidence.
We couldn't get her on last week, so I think we'll try to see if we can get her on a computer for next week.
Okay.
And I can also just call her and put her on speaker so she can hear, right?
Sí, Marta, sí te escucho.
Yeah, actually, we could do that.
Yeah, that's what I think, because like she can be on Zoom and on
Okay.
a call at the same time, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Joe, you want to give her
Yeah,
a text?
Sure.
Also, Joe, is there anything you wanted to finish up from your part before I move on?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, sure. All right. Hope everyone had a good break. Marta, did you already check in with everyone if they can hear you? All right. So Joe is going over the application process. So now we're going to talk about a little bit. So you've gone through the application, all 19 pages, and now what happens? So something we talked about a little bit earlier, because it came up when we asked you all, what do you remember about the Habitat program, that will come into play after you're approved, is paying your down payment. So we're going to bring up another poll. And the question is, how much is required in the down payment? How much is the required down payment for the Habitat program? Is it $1,250? Is it $2,000? Or is it $2,500? So I'll repeat that again if you can't see it. How much is the required down payment for the Habitat program? Is it $1,250? Is it $2,000? Or is it $2,500? You can type it into the chat also if you can't do the poll, or you can tell us your answer if neither of those are an option for you.
We've got almost everyone voting, so I'm going to go ahead and launch the polling and show you guys the results.
Awesome. All right, so again, majority got it right. 1,250 is correct for the down payment. We also have talked about 2,000, 2,500. Those numbers have come up, so you've heard them, yes, but the down payment is 1,250. So something about that number, 1,250, is actually some of the program around our mortgages has changed in the Habitat program, and that amount has gone up, but don't panic yet, because we know that we told you all 1,250 but would be the down payment minimum, and we want to stick to our word on that. So those of you all are participating in Village One, your down payment will still be 1,250, but that number may be different for those going forward in different villages. But we want to honor our word with you all, and that's the number we've been saying for over a year now, so we want to stick to that with you. But just so you know, if you, like we talked about earlier, if you have friends, if you have family who you want to talk to, who you'd like to be in future villages and other homes in the Habitat program, that number might be different for them. We're not talking about huge change.
Martita, ¿puedes repetir? Es que tengo mucho ruido acá afuera. ¿Puedes repetir la cantidad?
I'm gonna give Marta a sec.
Ajá. Ah, bueno. Gracias, Martita.
Okay. So we'll talk about that more when we get more in depth in the application process, but just so you all know that that number will not change for you. So another important detail is when do you need to pay your down payment? So the way it works is there'll be a moment, we'll talk about the details of this a little bit more, but there'll be a moment when you get to select the lot where your home will be. And there's also, that's when 50% of your down payment will be due. Then the other half will be due before closing, and closing is when you move into your home. So it's divided into half, 50% when you choose where your house will be, and 50% when your house is ready to move into, which is called closing. In terms of where that falls into the timeline of being in the Habitat program, the earliest you would have to pay that for 50% of your down payment would be 3 to 4 months after you're approved or you submit your application. But it could be later because, say, I'm approved and I immediately want to pick my house because that's the lot that I want. I'm going to have to pay my first half of my down payment earlier, but say that you want to wait for any reason to pick a different lot that won't be available or built on until later, you would have more time between submitting your application and paying the first half of your down payment.
I have a question.
Okay, Rose.
So we're not, for those of us in condos, we get to pick which building we want to live in. So once we pick that building, do we put the half down then, or do we put it down once we pick the building and the condo spot and the space?
Is this something that
Which
we want?
one?
Is this something we want to go into right now, or do we want to wait and to come back to this at our question and answer portion at the end? Looking to Joe, Molly, Rush.
I think I can answer it pretty quickly, which is,
okay.
So I know that it's a little different for a condo because you're not selecting technically a lot like you are with a townhouse or an attached house. But in order to select your home to be eligible, you make that down payment, and that is one of the requirements to become eligible to select your house. So you would have to make that half payment to select which condo unit you are going to live in.
Okay, so, but this is, if you don't get the one you want and the space you want, can you defer and go into another village like Village 2 if you build condos there to get your spot, the right apartment you want?
So generally in our program, once people become eligible, they are offered whatever's available, and you can say no to what's available up to, I believe it's 3 times before you then are, I think, either off of the eligibility list, or I'm not sure what happens after that 3rd time of saying no, you don't want what's available. But you can say no a couple of times before anything changes. One point that's important about what you just asked is that we really crafted Village 1 based on you all's interest in housing types. So that condo that is going to be built in Village 1, it depends on the interest of the group that makes up Village 2. There's no guarantee that there will be condos in Village 2. It would depend on the interest of the people that make up that group. So it's the same thing in the Habitat program today, where you can say no, but you don't know what's coming up down the line. So when you say no, you do gamble a little bit that something different or something that you want more will come up in a timely manner. So there's no guarantee that the thing you're looking for would be available in the next village. Because the Village 1, we built those condos because that was the interest that you all had. So you can say no, but there's no promise that there will be the exact same thing or the thing you're looking for in the next neighborhood. That would just depend on the people that design it. And I think if we have more questions about condo, I'd like to either hold those to the end, the question and answer section, and we can go back to asking specific questions about the condos. But I think we'll go ahead and let Jordan keep going with her presentation so that we get the rest of the information about eligibility before we lose the kind of thread.
So I actually forgot to share the presentation during that. Molly, did you want to bring it back up? Okay, I forgot. It's just one picture. It's hard to find a picture of a down payment, but that's what we got. So that's actually the end of my section, and it's time for Amanda.
Hi guys, so I'm going to be talking about sweat equity. And so to start off this conversation, I would like you guys, we're gonna put you guys into breakout groups without staff. So you guys all have to lead yourselves and pick somebody to give your answers when we resume in a full group. But I would like you guys to answer in your small groups, how many hours of sweat equity do you think you need in order to buy your home? So I'll give you guys about 2 minutes. So once again, the question you guys are going to be discussing are how many hours do you think is required of sweat equity in order for you to purchase your home? So these are the sweat equity is the amount of hours you are going to be working on your home or working on construction or volunteering your hours. So that is the definition of sweat equity. So we're going to give you 2 minutes to talk in your breakout groups.
All right, I'm going to send you all to your rooms. Good luck.
Wanda, I know you're on vacation, but go to your breakout room.
Start video.
Wanda, go to your breakout room.
You didn't send me the page. No me lo mandaste. No me cae. No, I swear to God. No, for real.
Rush, you can try switching her.
I just sent her another one. There she goes.
There we go. And Lulu?
Lulu was invited to join Breakout Room 1, but she has not joined it. And I sent Joe with Teresa to her. Oh, there she went.
Oh.
I sent Teresa to her, or I sent Joe with Teresa. That's why Joe's not here anymore, because she was doing the audio for Teresa. So
okay.
I figured she would need to be in the same breakout room to facilitate that.
So Rush, you can
Annalina's
send
here.
somebody another invite to a breakout room.
Yeah, that's what I did for Wanda.
Wow, I've never figured out how to do that.
Oh yeah, you just do it again. I don't know. It worked.
Boots wants to be in the meeting.
I also, Molly, there was this. Hola, Angelina.
Come say hi.
Hola, Boots.
Oh,
she's grumpy that I'm not paying attention to her. Hola, Angelina.
Hola, ¿me escucha?
Sí,
sí.
Se escucha.
Okay.
El
el video, no lo tengo puesto o no lo me tienen allí. Está rojo aquí del video.
No sé si
no la
es
vemos,
necesario.
No es necesario. Ok. Ok.
pero escuchamos tu voz
Ok.
muy bonita y suave.
Gracias. Gracias.
¡Ay! Ya la vemos.
Ah,
Oh,
Hola.
Marta.
Angelina, si usted puede elegir la opción de interpretación, el globo, o usted está
Mundo.
en el
Mundo.
mundo.
Globo es balloon. Yeah.
Ah, ya. ¿Qué está
No
abajo?
sé.
¿O hay 3 puntitos abajo de su pantalla
Ah, ya.
para
Ajá.
elegir?
Interpretación, idioma. Ok.
De español, sí, perfecto.
Ya. ¿Me escuchan ahora? No. Ya tengo en español. Ya puse en el español.
¿Escuchas a Marta?
No.
Ah.
La opción dice, ya puse en español, pero eliminar original.
Sí, creo que sí. Tenga que eliminar el original.
Joe, you left your group?
¿Ahora?
She's mute. You're on mute, Joe.
Ahora sí.
Qué bueno.
Sí. Ya.
You said 1 minute left.
Bien, bien.
Oh, so you just came back?
Hola.
Okay, I'll close the rooms.
We finished talking and Richard was like, see you ladies on.
Hola, Josefina.
I was like, okay.
Right?
Like, peace out.
I didn't know you couldn't just like close the breakout rooms immediately. There, it always gives a minute. So you get people are getting an extra minute if they aren't leaving.
I thought it seemed longer
Oh, yeah.
than 2 minutes.
You're allowed to leave whenever you want.
I know, but I thought I'd just click the button and everybody would be back, but they got a minute to figure it out, to decide what they wanted to do. So 27 more seconds before everybody's forced to come back.
Rush, I'm sending a text message to the group.
Joe, I've got it pulled up on my computer to share at the end.
Yeah, I do too. Just wanted to, I wasn't sure that we will have time or if we wanted to. I just wanted to ask the question. I think everyone would probably have that question.
Oh my gosh, Wanda's just abusing us.
I know.
Oh my gosh, Wanda. Rihanna, oh my gosh. I want to be in Puerto Rico.
Yo también.
She's like, Mom, stop.
I decided to spotlight her video so everyone could come back to Calming Waves. We can all meditate for a minute together.
Thank you, Rash. I'm falling asleep. No.
Cuidado con el tiburón. Por ahí,
No hay
veo,
tiburón.
por ahí veo la cola.
Sí,
No, no hay tiburón.
Alfredo, mereces otra pizza por la buena broma.
No, en la tarde les gusta mucho.
¿Comer niñas chiquitas?
No, no sé. No sé. Cualquier cosa que ande en la playa. ¿Qué más sigue?
So,
Brenda, do you want to share my screen again?
first we can ask if we want to ask what their answers were. So what were the numbers you guys came up with? Alfredo, what was the number of sweat equity that your group came up with? How many hours do you think you need to work in order to buy your home?
¿Cuánto quiero trabajar? Nada. No, yo no sé, pues como esta es primera experiencia, pero otros que han estado en otros proyectos he escuchado yo 300, 400. No sé si para todos los proyectos es igual.
So for those of you who aren't listening to Martha speaking in English, there is the English interpreting channel if you guys want to click on that. But he basically said he's not sure, but from other people who have participated in the program, he's heard 300, 400. Mercedes, what is a number you think?
Pues doña Inocencia y yo, pues pensamos 240 horas y 100 horas. No sé cuál. También no sabemos exactamente.
Okay. Good answer. Richard, how many hours do you think of sweat equity?
Who did you ask, man?
I asked you.
I didn't hear the name.
It's all good.
All right, my bad. All
You
right.
felt it though. That's all that matters.
Yeah. I thought it was 200 per adult, and so much for kids during a certain age that the adults, the parents had to do. But it's been so long, I'm really not sure anymore.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here for right now. So the answer is 200 per household, and then an extra 100 hours per adult. So if you are a single parent in a household, it is 200 hours. For every additional parent or additional adult that is plans to be in the home is an additional 100 hours.
So that excludes us,
Si
right?
es frío.
What was that, Rose?
That excludes us because we didn't put in more sweat equity than anybody with these meetings.
Well, that brings me to my next point, Rose, which is the good news is that all the hours that you guys have spent during this planning process are going towards your sweat equity hours. We don't have those hours calculated right now, but you're right. You guys have a lot. So you guys are ahead of the curve in that aspect of it. And so there are, you guys, yeah, congratulations. You guys already have sweat equity. But there's more to that too, right? Because we also want you guys to be able to work and on your homes and your neighbors' homes. And that's not only because we want to put you guys to work, but it's also because we want you guys to experience all of the ins and outs of what your homes will entail further down the line. So once you own those homes, it's important to know all the little aspects of them so you can help maintain them throughout owning them and living in them. So
Marta, yo tengo una pregunta.
Sí.
Esas horas que hagamos o que tengamos acumuladas, no entiendo muy bien. ¿En qué nos ayuda, Marta? ¿Para que acepte nuestra aplicación o para como pago de la casa o lo que uno quiera adquirir? No entiendo muy bien.
So what Mercedes was asking, or how are these hours being counted? Are they a part of the application? Are they a part of paying? Like what are the purposes? Oh, that's right. Martha's translating in English. For those of you who are in the English translation, sorry, Martha. So Mercedes, that's an excellent question. It's a little bit of both, right? So we in order to apply, in order to do lot selection, it's very similar to the down payment, where you need to do a certain amount of hours of sweat equity in order for you to pick lot selection. So that's a part of the application process. But also in when we are working with outside organizations or applying for grants, a lot of that sweat equity, a lot of those sweat equity hours help us apply for those grants in order to keep those houses affordable. So both, a little bit of both in that aspect. Does that answer your question, Mercedes? Cool. All right, so there are a lot of ways you guys can earn these sweat equity hours. As I just mentioned, you guys have already been earning them, participating in these meetings. And because there's so many, right, 200 to 400 to 500 are a lot of hours to put in on your home, but there are multiple ways. So that includes working on your homes, working in the construction site, but that also can mean working at our Habitat store, or helping out at our office, or taking lunch to the construction team or other volunteers. It also includes speaking at public meetings. And if you have small children who are getting excellent grades, you can also use their studious skills as hours as well. So there's multiple different ways. And so if you are unable to actually participate on the construction site for various different reasons, don't worry, just let us know and we will work with you to find other means for you to participate in these sweat equity hours. But we do encourage you guys and want you guys to work on your homes as much as possible, because it's a fun experience. It helps you feel more connected to your homes, but also it's a great learning experience in what home maintenance is all about. So I think that's all. I will pass it over to Joe and lot selection.
Marta's showing a good picture of Jordan and Marta on the job site together doing the kind of work you guys could do.
Which you guys won't be lying down on materials though.
We were resting after a lot of hard work. That's me overseeing Marta's work. She was doing okay.
They're building a wall right there.
The best wall Habitat's ever seen.
So I think some of these questions that you guys are asking actually lend themselves well to the next section. So Amanda has done a great job explaining how you earn lot selection, sweat equity hours. And the good news is all the time and hours you guys have spent in these meetings we've been keeping track of that, and that counts towards your sweat equity. So that was one of the announcements we wanted to share tonight. But this question about lot selection is an important one, because when a group of people are accepted to the program at the same time and a lot becomes available, we need a system to make sure that it's fair. Who gets to choose first, right? Because everyone's getting accepted at the same time. How do you figure out who gets to choose the lots as they become available? Because we know all 49 lots are not going to be ready to be built on at the same time. So I'm going to explain how lot selection goes and how it's determined who gets to choose the lot in what order. So when a group of applicants come into the program, usually they start working on their sweat equity hours. You guys have already been doing that. So one of the things that makes you eligible to choose your lot is your number of sweat equity hours completed. So you guys have a huge bonus right now because you've already been working on those sweat equity hours. So that's the one thing that moves you move to the top of the list to choose a lot. The second thing that's required is half of the down payment. So in this case, if you remember, the minimum down payment is $1,250. If you are making that as your down payment, you need to give half of that to Habitat in order to be eligible to choose a lot. So these two factors are the main factors in deciding what order people choose lots. It's very, very unlikely that two families would have the exact same number of sweat equity hours, but it could happen, right? So if two people go through the program and we're looking at who to put on the list, and the two applicants have the exact same sweat equity hours, one detail that would be important to know is then Habitat will look at the date the down payment was made. So if two applicants have the exact same sweat equity hours and we're trying to decide who gets to choose the lot first, we go back into the records and we look at who made the half of the down payment first. So it rarely comes up because most hours don't, total up that closely. But in case you're wondering, that is how the order of choosing lots is processed in the program. So again, remember we mentioned at the application process that we are going to offer the application to people who want to apply. It can't only be offered to the Village One planners, and that's for fair housing, for fair lending law. But even if new folks join the program and they have not been participating in these meetings, it's impossible for someone who joins the Habitat program without being in these meetings to move up the list to choose a lot before someone who's been coming to these Village One planning sessions, because your sweat equity hours are what puts you at the top of the list. So that is how Habitat has created a fair system to keep track of who gets to choose a lot and what order, because you've got a group accepted at the same time, and we want to find ways that we can fairly see who's investing the time and match that partnership with the opportunity to choose a lot. So that's how lot selection, how you become eligible, and that's how lot selection works. Again, if you guys have questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. We're getting closer and closer. So once that lot selections happen and work starts on your house, there is the expectation that you're there, right? Manda's talked about that you would be participating in the construction of your home. But there's also a requirement to make sure that people are getting financially ready to be homeowners. And so there is another series of classes that every Habitat home buyer participates in. So Molly, if you could just flash if you could pull the slideshow up again, I'll just show you a quick snapshot of a group of home buyers. I believe these home buyers are from Wickham Pond, which is out in Crozet. So what happens after you select your lot, you now know who your neighbors are going to be, right? And so once you know who your direct neighbors are going to be, there's a series of community conversations, a series of meetings where you meet with that group and you get to know each other and start to figure out how to work and operate as a neighborhood. So that, in addition to some homebuyer education, so classes about managing your credit, how to do basic home maintenance, so how to take care of your home, how to prepare for insurance for your house, And then when you get very close to closing, how to close the loan, what to expect with the loan closing. So those classes and those group meetings are going to come back once you have gotten closer, or once you've selected the lots and you know who your neighbors are and you're much closer to closing. So there will be additional group meetings in the future. So that's a lot of information. Molly, what's the next slide? We want to end with some celebratory, Rose, I see your question. So we're just about to get to the Q&A. So we'll make sure that we have the chat box. So I wanted to, we've talked a lot about this process, and it sounds tough, but we believe in you guys. You guys have actually invested so much already that I think this part is going to be very exciting for you. These are a couple of home buyers. The picture on the left was when they got their keys, when they closed on their loan. And the picture on the right was at the dedication, I believe, of their home, where we have a little party with everybody. And so I just wanted to wrap up this conversation by kind of reminding us why it's worth all of this investment of time, right? What we know about the Habitat program is it is different for every family. We can't give you definite timelines, but we can say that in general, we expect that the process is about 18 to 24 months long. If you look at the regular Habitat program, that's about the average. And so some of that depends on the lot you select. Some of that we talked about construction, depends on weather, depends on things that are outside of Habitat's control. So we've tried to give you a general sense of the timeline, and we want to close by just reminding you guys where, what is, dare I use a street name, what is on the new horizon for you guys? Is home ownership. We really hope that the first homes will be ready in the spring or summer of 2022, depending on everything moving forward smoothly. So that's the overview that we can share. Those are the updates. We did, like I said, some of this information is brand new. We've gotten directly from the board of directors, and we're excited to share it with you tonight. But I know there are a collection of questions in the chat box that we also want to cover.
So I can start, I'll just holler out the chat question and let whoever feels from the staff like they can answer. So Rose put in a question about whether or not selection depends on the disability needs of the homeowner. So does that get taken into account when someone selects their lot?
That's a great question. Who wants to answer? Rush, do you? I almost feel
I
like
was going to make someone else answer and say ask the question, but I can't answer.
I think you probably have the most experience since you've been involved deeply with construction. I think that's probably better for everyone for you to answer.
Right. So, I'll say a couple of things. We always build to a certain level of disability or access in our homes. At least something like 2/3 to 90% of our homes have what we call zero-step entry, meaning that first floor when you come in has no steps to get into it. So someone could take a wheelchair in, or someone who doesn't walk very well could walk in easily. It always has a bedroom on that floor. It always has a full bath on that floor, the kitchen, and the main living space. And so that is really for someone who needs partial access to, has partial disability, or we're thinking there about people who might get older as they live in their home and become less able to walk or move. That is always, that's the standard. In addition to that, particular to Village 1 and in other cases when we've built houses in the past where we have families who have disability needs, we will make even more accessible units than the standard. So for us in Village 1, the first floor condo units are single floor living units completely. So all bedrooms, all bathroom, all living, everything is on a single floor, and it is all 0-step entrance. That's not true for the upstairs units because they're upstairs, but in our condo units, of which there are going to be, I was doing some math really quick, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, yes, there'll be 12 units like that in our condos that you walk right into a single living situation. So we have done that before. There are a couple of houses in sort of north downtown, the Rose Hill neighborhood, where we had the opportunity to build full single-story living. So we have some examples of that we've built, and that is something where we have somebody who have particular disability needs, and so we take that into account in our construction. And so we match up those families with those very accessible units. So every unit has a certain level of accessibility that meets most families' needs. We also will build even more accessible units for families who have greater need for accessibility. So does that answer your question, Rose?
Yeah, most of it. I understand that part. I was just mostly concerned about like specific rooms, like bathrooms. Do you make them shower, roll in, you know, that kind of thing? So you work with each family as to the extent of the disability, and then some of those things that are normally done can go a little above if it's needed.
Yeah, and that is what we've done in the past. So not every unit has, or it's not our standard to build roll-in showers, but we have done that on units where families have that accessibility need. So that is something we will work on with the families. Joe, you have your hand raised.
Yes, are those does that take the cost up higher?
That's not how it's worked out in the past. No, we don't increase the cost to do those things. Yeah.
I was just gonna mention, Rush and Rose, that it's been probably more than a year ago, but there was a accessible unit with a roll-in shower that was built, Rose, and we actually had someone go in and shoot a video of it, like a tour of that, because we have this question about accessibility. So I can share that video, or we could put it on our YouTube channel. Everybody knows we have a YouTube channel where we post the meetings. I'm sure you guys are watching them over and over again on your Saturday nights. But Rose, that's been a long time ago since I shared that video, but maybe I can share it again. Because I did a tour of the bathroom and all of the stuff. And we could share that with the whole group so people can see what we're talking about when we say that there are some accessibility, like Rush said, most of them come with it, or all of them come with a certain level of accessibility, but we certainly have examples of where we've done something different for families with more limited mobility issues. Great question, Rose.
Okay.
Next in the chat box, Alfredo is asking, he's saying that he understands that there are something like 6 townhouses, and he's wondering if he can choose one of the ones that are going to be at the beginning or the first ones built.
Good question. So I would ask
somebody else.
So I would ask the other facilitators, we've talked about, Rose asked a question earlier, right? And we wanted to use a picture to kind of walk through that. Should we go ahead and do that now? Because I think that helps. So Rose, you asked a question earlier where we were saying, we talked about that during the construction meeting, and we're gonna go back to that same picture and remind everybody, because there was so much information in that meeting. But so Rose, this is to your earlier question, and it also answers Alfredo's question, I think. So Rush, would you walk us through it again? Because you came up with the picture.
Do you want me to share?
Yeah, Molly.
Yeah, Molly, will you share it on your screen?
So right.
And can you make it bigger? Yeah.
Yeah. Do a presentation, Molly. Make it cool. It's down at the bottom.
Oh, she's trying so hard.
Bless her.
Bless her heart.
Okay. So yeah, so Rose mentioned this earlier, and I think it very much relates to what Alfredo was just asking about in the chat box. So we showed a slide before that had everything on it and just the colors. Remember, we were saying the green are the condos, the red are townhouses, the orange are duplexes, and the blue are detached. So what this red line shows, this funny shape, is, so there are 49 units in this that we've designed space for affordable houses in this first neighborhood. And I think everyone would understand that you can't just one day build 49 houses. That takes time to get constructed, right? And so because of that, even this first village is going to happen in steps, in phases. And so this red line shows what we think we're going to build at the very first. So you'll see that inside that red line are all 20 of the condo units, and that's because we're actually going to partner with another contractor to help us build those, because we currently build 20 houses a year. We're working on getting to a place where we're going to be building 50, so we're speeding up even faster. But even at 20 or 50 houses a year, it would take us too long to get through this. So we're in some situations, we will partner with another builder who will build our designs to help us build faster, so that our construction team doesn't have quite as much to do on their plate. So the green units, the condos, are getting built in the first part of Village 1. And then you'll see that some of the townhouses are going first. And it's a funny shape, right? And the reason it's that funny shape is because you'll see some of the townhomes, 5 of them are what we call level 3. So they're the most expensive version of the townhouse, the biggest. And then you see some are level 1 and level 2 that are down at the bottom. The reason we draw the shape that way and that we're talking about phasing the construction that way is so that there's a range of options even within this first section of Village 1. And so you'll see we have condos level 1, 2, and 3, as well as townhouses level 1, 2, and 3. And as we get into this and start doing our construction, we'll start pulling in some of these attached houses, some more of the townhouses, and we'll work our way through that way. But this will be the first section. This is what we think will be the first section to be built in Village 1. And so to Alfredo's question of, can I pick one of the townhouses in this first section? I think the answer is, it depends. Yes, if. And the if is, if these are the types that you want, right? Like, is this what you and your financial coach have talked about wanting to purchase? Is this what you want to pay on a monthly basis, right? So is this fit within your family's budget to buy this type of house? Do you have all of your documents together and you're ready to make an application to Habitat? And then all of the things that Joe was outlining about eligibility would be the last piece. Do you have your sweat equity done? Are you able to make your half of your down payment? And that kind of sounds like a long list when I lay it all out that way, but you guys have done a lot of those things already. You've ticked a lot of those boxes by working with your financial coach. And so they can really work one-on-one with you. If you've got your eye set on one of these first units, start talking with your financial coach now about what are the steps necessary. What do you need to do to be in a great position to be ready to select one of these first lots, if being first and going early is your main goal. Does that answer the questions that you guys had, or would anyone want to add anything?
No, está bien, muchas gracias. Tenía un poco de confusión con lo que se habló de quién podía escoger o cosas así, pero no, sí, está bien. Muchas gracias.
Great. And if you continue to have any questions, your financial coach can help you with anything, because this is a ton of information and it's detailed, and you probably want to dig into your specific situation. And that is exactly what your financial coach can help you do.
Bueno, sí, está bien, gracias.
Those were all the questions in the chat box.
There was one more about the cap on the match,
Oh, okay, great.
but I don't, that answer is complicated, isn't it, Rush? Is there, so we should repeat the question. I'll go back a bit. So one of the things that you guys mentioned that you remembered about the program was the match, right? So if someone makes a large down payment above the minimum amount starting at $2,500, then there's actually a match from Habitat that is a 1-for-1 match for that larger down payment. And so, Richard, correct me if I'm not summarizing your question correctly. So the question was, is there some limit on what Habitat would match? So if I want to make a down payment of $10,000 and Habitat's going to match by reducing my mortgage by another $10,000. So I put $10,000 down and my mortgage goes down by 20. The question is there some limit on that? At some point, would Habitat say we cannot match that down payment because it's too big? I think is the question that Richard's asking. So I know that we took this question to the executive committee and Dan, CEO, and my recollection, Rush, is that they did not want to put a hard and fast cap on the down payment. They didn't want to choose some number and say we won't match beyond that. The guidelines that they put is, I was trying to pull it up in the document and I haven't found it in the document. Do you know, can you remember what the guidelines were? Guys, these are things that are just like being decided or have just been decided. So this is all breaking news.
What I will, so I think what we'll do is go back and double check so we can come back with the exact right answer. However, Joe's memory is my memory, and it's right. It's not just the memory, which is that there's no hard and fast cap, because what that looks like depending on the product you're choosing is very different. Like at the condo level, what a big down payment does to your first mortgage is different than at the detached housing level, because the housing price is very different. And so what I remember us doing was setting a % of the total first, at which point we have to go ask permission. So again, no hard and fast, but a place where, okay, if we get to this much of the cost of the house, we have to go back and make sure that's okay with the board of directors, that we match that amount. Or does the board of directors say, sorry, we can only match this amount? So we would have that conversation with you and with the board of directors to figure out where the limit is. But no hard and fast one, because we want to take into account other factors as well. So maybe you've got a big down payment, but that's because you know you're going to have a hard time making monthly payments because you're about to stop working, or you're about to have a lot of medical bills, or something you know about your particular situation and story that make that big down payment make a lot of sense to make the house affordable for you. So the point being, we want to be able to look at this dependent on all of the factors that are leading you to want to make that decision. So I'm sorry there's not like a clear answer of like, it is this, but we made it fuzzy like that on purpose so that there was room for us to discuss your exact situation with the board of directors.
And I would add that one of the big pieces that Rush is referring to is this connection between the housing type. And so once someone says, I know for sure this is a housing type, like that helps us further that conversation and figuring out, because it is tied a lot to the housing type. So again, these are really good questions to be talking to your financial coach about too. The general process is we look into the guidelines for for the answers to these. Because this is a pilot program and hasn't been done before, some of the guideline has to be changed. And so when we get these good questions, we go to the executive committee, the board of directors, the CEO, and these guidelines are written to apply to the Southwood pilot. So we're keeping track of all the questions, even if we don't have the definite or final answer. So thanks, Richard. That was a great question. Let's see. Are there more?
Yeah, Rose entered another question. So she's asking, are the payments for the mortgage, or are the mortgage payments set in stone because the COA fees are still high?
So the mortgage payments, well, first let me make sure I define the term. So this is a question specific to the condos. You guys have heard us talk a lot about HOA, Homeowners Association fees. And so that fee is something that applies to every housing type, because in every housing type that is built in this community, there is a HOA fee. For a condo, someone living in a condo, there is a condo association also for that housing type. And that is because there are different shared spaces in a condo that are unique to a condo. For example, you all share the same roof. You all share the same exterior walls. Those things don't, those shared characteristics don't exist in the other housing types. So, so the mortgage payment, this is a question for condos, is basically what I'm saying. That mortgage payment, in terms of what the monthly payment is, that, as far as we know, I mean, I would say set in stone. Those are definite answers. That is how much that payment will be. When you look at the brochure that we have given for each housing type, what you'll see is that some of that is an estimate, right? We actually don't know what the taxes and the insurance will be for a house that hasn't been built yet. You can't know what those costs are. And it's a little similar for the COA and HOA fees also. So we have given our best guess and our best estimate based on the fact that we have built these housing types before, and we are looking at the costs of those buildings in the past to determine what these estimates are. So I think the short answer is yes, we know what they are. They are what we have published. When you look at the breakdown of how the money is broken, those are estimates. In terms of, it's not really part of the question, but your reference to the COA fees are high. I think we need to have more conversation specific to the actual COA fees. And Rose, I know you've done some research. I've been doing some research trying to get some budgets from other COAs. Still waiting. He sent me the wrong thing. But I do think we need to spend some time on this. I would recommend that we don't spend time on it with the entire group. We already have in mind that we will have another meeting specific to condos so that everyone who's interested in the condo unit can be part of this conversation, and that it can be very focused. So I think that's Rush or Molly. Would you guys add anything to that? But Rose, I'm still working on that.
Yeah, because I've been doing some research, and it is like, from the research that I'm doing, it is the COA fees are nowhere near what, starting off, what you have on that piece of paper. And the reasoning behind it is what they say and what, I don't know exactly what your guys are saying, but they don't match up. And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, so what what's the differences? So that, yeah, another meeting, especially for people who are in or are going to be purchasing a condo, is needed, because I'm just crunching some of these numbers from other people and other condos around Charlottesville and Albemarle County, and the numbers just don't match up.
Yeah, we've got it definitely on our schedule that we need to have another meeting about that. And yeah, I think it's a matter of sharing our information and
Right.
And to everybody. I want everybody in the condo
Yeah.
who's considering the condo to know, hear the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Excellent question. What other questions are any more in the chat box?
No more chat box. Any last requests from anyone? Anything burning you haven't asked yet?
Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no. No more burning questions. What I will say is, I think you've heard us say it multiple times tonight, you need to connect to your financial coach. We are about to, as Molly said, extend an invitation to people who want to join us in the second part of this redevelopment. We are about to announce the application process at the beginning of next year. So if you haven't made a commitment to a housing type, if you have not submitted documents like your tax returns or pay stubs, that all needs to be happening in the next few weeks. I would actually say the next 2 weeks. So this part is very time sensitive because, as Rush said, we know how many units we're building and we need to start filling that out, right? And we want to know how many people who have participated in this process are ready to move forward and how many spaces we have left to recruit new people. So now is the time to return our phone calls and return our emails and to set an appointment. And we need to figure out a safe way to exchange documents and pick up documents. But as Molly said, the focus is going to shift from these group meetings to one-on-one meetings. So please reach out to your financial coach and ask to set up a Zoom meeting or a phone call. The other announcements that I want to make are related to the main office. Many of you guys know that we were located on Main Street for many years. We have grown in staff and we have moved to the Ix building. If you're familiar with the Ix building, it's on 2nd Street Southeast. It's the biggest landmark I know. It's across the street from the Mount Zion First African Baptist Church. It's right in the dip of that hill. So our main office is in the process of moving. And as you guys know, you can find us by calling the Blue Trailer phone number or any of our cell phones. I think you guys have that information. But we just want you to be in the loop about the main office. Are there any other announcements? Rush, would you? Yeah, perfect.
There's a picture of our new front door. I mean, similar to the office at Southwood, even though we are moving because of COVID-19, we are not going to be open at that new space to walk-in customers. Not that you guys probably really would be going there anyway at this point, but just so you know, we're moving, but offices are still closed for now until we figure out how to do it more safely. So, but yeah, there's a picture of the new space. We're excited about it. Should be a really nice spot.
Yeah, that's great. So if there are no other announcements that we need to share with the group, we can go ahead and sign off. And we will let you guys know, one more thing, we'll let you know about next week's meeting. We are steadily working on our curriculum and trying to get the final sessions planned out. So stay tuned for a text message or an email to let you know if we will be meeting next week. I think that's actually the last thing to share. So thanks again for your time tonight. We look forward to seeing you guys soon. Let's connect.
Good night, everyone. Be safe.
Marlita.
Good night.
¿Puedes llamarme
Good
ahorita?
night, guys.
Hi.
Gracias.
Have fun in Puerto Rico.
Gracias por la cena.
Ah,
De nada.
Wanda.